Hey everyone, today's episode of Lesser Known Lewis is on C.S. Lewis's essay, Some Thoughts. We're using it as a lead-in to the season of Lent because on this season of Lesser Known Lewis, we've been using C.S. Lewis's essays as guides to the Christian life. And so during the season of Lent, we are going to use a couple of Lewis's essays to help us reflect on Lenten themes. And so Some Thoughts is going to be the first of those. But then next week, beginning on February 22nd, which is the beginning of Lent this year, we're going to start with Lewis's essay, Miserable Offenders. And then we're going to go to Lewis's essay, The Trouble with X. And on that essay, we've got a guest, the Reverend Dr. Joel Scandrett, who is a professor at Trinity School for Ministry. And then we're going to do Lewis's essay on forgiveness. And for that episode, we have a guest, William O'Flaherty from the All About Jack podcast. So if you would like to join us for any of those episodes, we would love to have you join us, our guests, and Lewis, reflecting through the season of Lent in a Christ-centered, gospel-focused way, and just hearing what Lewis has to say and how it can help us through the season of Lent. Now, if you're wondering why I chose to film a video on this very cold, windy day in front of this particular bridge, you're gonna have to listen to today's episode on Some Thoughts, which I will put a link in the description for you to do so, to find out why that is, why this bridge. But it has to do with a particular episode of TV that was released this week. That TV series has to do with zombies. I know what you're thinking. What does zombies have to do with C.S. Lewis? Not a lot, basically nothing. But zombies are based on the idea that a bad infection can spread throughout the human race. And then the story has to do something with humans escaping the infection. Now, C.S. Lewis wrote in Mere Christianity that the Christian story is about a good infection that starts with Jesus and then continues to spread throughout the human race. And so there's some similarity there. Maybe it's a stretch. Maybe I'm making this up. But follow me a little further here, because the three essays that we're looking at during the season of Lent all have this question from Lewis, which is basically, will we allow ourselves to be altered by God? Will we allow ourselves to be changed and put ourselves in His hands to receive that good infection or not? Now, all these zombie shows, they have this apocalyptic, hellish landscape. And Lewis writes in one of these essays that in a Christianity, hell is, well, it's not a matter of God sending us to hell, but that there's something in us that is growing up and will of itself be hell unless we allow ourselves to be put into God's hands and let Him do something about it. And so the choice is ours. And so we invite you to join us in these essays for Lent. Just a note, if you're not familiar with Lesser Known Lewis, our podcast, it's everywhere on all the podcast apps, but you should know, don't worry, we don't usually talk about zombies. We have no plans to, again, in the future, but we do talk about sin. We love talking about C.S. Lewis, and of course, most importantly, we love talking about the good infection of Jesus, which C.S. Lewis spent his whole life trying to spread. And so if you want to catch that good infection with us, we welcome you to join us during the season of Lent on the Lesser Known Lewis podcast.